Plants are very important for our planet because they emit oxygen that allows us to breathe, but there are also many toxic plants in the world. Some of them you will find in the forests, while others could be found in your own garden. Today we are going to show you 10 of the most dangerous plants in the world. Number 1. The Rosary PE. Cautionary Bruce is a very toxic plant. The grains that look like round red seeds with a black spot on the bottom contain a protein called cofalbumin. This toxin stops protein synthesis in the human cell, and when this happens, the cell dies. Remember what the Rosary PE looks like so that if you ever come across it, you won't confuse it with a normal berry. When chewing the seeds, the poison is released, which causes poisoning, and the worst thing is that there is no antidote for it. This plant is native to Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Pacific. In the US, it is classified as an invasive plant. Despite the dangers, some people use the plants to make necklaces, jewelry, and bracelets. Children's toys are also supposed to be made from this plant. Number 2. This is the chamomile tree, which appears evergreen with green leaves and small apple-shaped fruits. The tree may not look dangerous, but it has been nicknamed the tree of death in some places where it grows. Locals have had to put up warning signs on the tree telling people passing by not to eat the fruit, but even touching or being near the tree can be dangerous. This is because each part of the fruit contains a milky white juice that is highly toxic. Even if touched lightly, it can cause skin burns, and if it gets into your eyes, it can temporarily blind you. According to legends, the indigenous people used this juice to whet their arrows, and it is believed that the great explorer Juan Ponce de Leon also died because of it in 1521. Number 3. Another plant that doesn't seem dangerous at all is the white plover. The white cherimoya has small, delicate white flowers that are located next to the stem. Sometimes when grass is scarce, grazing animals decide to feed on these plants. However, this plant contains a type of alcohol called tremetol that is very toxic to animals, especially horses. For example, muscle tremors can be observed in cows that receive this poisoning. But it is not only dangerous for animals, but also for humans. In the 19th century, when Europeans settled in the American Midwest, they were not accustomed to this plant and allowed their cows to graze on it. Their animals became sick and their milk was contaminated. Many of the settlers who drank the milk later developed milk fever with symptoms such as weakness, vomiting, and constipation. According to some reports, about 1,000 settlers died from it. Number 4. You've probably heard of the Nepenthes, Venus flytrap, a plant that loves to eat flies and other insects. But there is a similar carnivorous plant that is much larger. This is the Nepenthes plant. There are about 140 species of this plant found in Madagascar, Southeast Asia, and Australia. But the most notable of all of them, which is also the largest carnivorous plant, is Nepenthes attenboroughi and is currently in danger of extinction. This plant was discovered in 2007 by a group of scientists on the island of Palawan in the Philippines. The plant was then named after famous British biologist David Attenborough to commemorate his conservation efforts in the Philippines during his 80th birthday. This plant was large enough to catch rodents and other small animals, so it is best not to let your pets do not approach this plant. Number 5. The Oleander plant is hard to miss. It is a shrub with deep pink flowers, but there are also yellow or white ones. That makes it a popular addition to gardens, but it also urges gardeners to be very careful and put it where pets and children can't reach it. Oleander is extremely poisonous, from the leaves and flowers to the stem and roots. It contains two powerful cardiac glycosides, oleandrin and narin, which increase the force of cardiac contractions. This causes cardiac arrhythmias and serious problems in the nervous and digestive systems. The plant also emits a sticky latex that can seriously irritate the skin and eyes. Despite this, the oleander is the official flower of the city of Hiroshima, Japan, because it was the first plant to bloom in the country since the atomic bomb that destroyed the city in 1945. Number 6. At first glance, the Gimpy plant has a funny-sounding name, but it is actually one of the most dangerous plants in the world, as proven by the countless stories that have been written about it. The Gimpy is a thorny tree that belongs to the nettle family and is common in many parts of Australia. It is considered one of the most poisonous and painful plants in the world. When you touch the plant, small needles can get stuck in it that you can't easily remove either. Plus, it also hurts a lot. There are old stories that say that horses that were stung ended up going so crazy that they jumped off cliffs to escape their pain. Number 7. The African hydnora is very popular because it looks like the piranha plants in the Super Mario game, but apparently they also exist in real life. What we see here is actually the hydnora flower. It does not have leaves, but to survive, it feeds on other plants. Hydnora is a nasty parasite that uses its roots to steal nutrients from nearby plants. Not only that, but it has a very pungent smell. Some insects, such as the skin beetle, are attracted by its unpleasant odor, and the plant takes the opportunity to pollinate them by trapping them with its jaws until they are completely covered in its pollen before releasing them. However, this parasitic plant is quite rare, but its smell will make no one want to get completely close to it. Number 8. Water hemlock is considered the most poisonous plant in the world. Even a small amount of the toxic substance called cyclotoxin can be a poison to animals and humans. Cyclotoxin is an unsaturated alcohol that violently affects the central nervous system. An animal that receives it in its body can die in 15 minutes. However, the poison from the roots is more dangerous. Who would have thought that a plant with tiny flowers just 4 millimeters wide could be so dangerous? The plant has 4 different species that are highly toxic, and all of them contain different types of poison. Ingesting this plant can also quickly lead to the end of its life, so it is best to stay away from it when you encounter this plant. Number 9. This is the white doll's eye, a different plant that is also very poisonous and dangerous to humans. The plant has round white berries with black dots on the end, like a doll's eye. Scientists have not yet determined exactly what poison it contains, but they assume it could be an essential substance or a toxic chemical called a glycoside. Toxicity is said to be highest in the roots and berries. If eaten, you may suffer stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea, and even your circulatory system may fail. Because of this, contact with the plant can also cause blisters on the skin. Despite the dangers, doll's eye can be used for medical purposes. In fact, a small amount of tea can be prepared from the roots to relieve pain during childbirth. It is also useful for headaches, colds, and coughs. Number 10. Castor beans are native to East Africa and can also be found in tropical areas. It contains one of the most natural toxins ever discovered, called ricin. Ricin is an extremely potent cytotoxin that attacks the intestines and red blood cells. This venom is said to be 12 times stronger than the venom of a rattlesnake. A single milligram of ricin is enough to kill an adult human. So you should never eat several of these seeds because they can be deadly. It is useful for you to know this now, since in some countries, this plant can be found in parks as decoration or near train tracks. Have you ever encountered a dangerous plant? Let me know in the comments.